Hey y'all, what's up? It's Ezar once again, getting ready for another conversation. It's a beautiful day. It's Thursday. It's like 60 something degrees outside. So I decided, come out to the park, relax a little bit. I'm out here watching the kids play, people playing with their kids and everything. And I just decided it's a good time since I'm out here relaxing to hit y'all up with another video. Someone asked me to talk about. Today, I would like to be talking about toxic and poison people. How to tell the difference in some of the things that toxic and poison people do. Now, in this day and age, things are really rough. People are separating themselves from certain types of people in their lives. No one want to really deal with, toxic people or people that have negative energy or that's not about, the things that you're trying to do in your life. So when I found out, what I found that is really, really intriguing to me is that one, most toxic people don't know that they're toxic. I find it funny that you may know someone that's toxic that says something like, "Man, I can't stand people. I gotta get away from everybody. They're toxic." But they are the ones that's the toxic ones. They are the ones that's poisoning people and then eventually turning them toxic. And I always find that really, really funny that a lot of the toxic people are the ones that's most judgmental. Now, anyone can be a poisoned person. Anyone can be poisoned by a toxic person. And let me go a little bit more into that. Toxic people usually don't know that they're toxic and that they have a purpose in life. And the purpose isn't a good one, and it's not necessarily something that they do consciously, or it may be not something that they've aware of or want. You know, we all have different spirits in us. We have people that's designed for different things. That's like you may meet a person on your job that they're just a delight. You may be a down person, but when you see that person, they're high spirited. They energy is infectious. You just happen to feel good around them. You know, that person is designed that way purposely. If something happened and that person became negative or started producing negative energy, something probably happened for that change to occur. Same thing with toxic people. Toxic people, they exude a certain type of energy or force with them. But the funny thing about toxic people is they have just as much charisma as someone that's positive, because most toxic people draw people into them. It's something about them that people find intriguing or mesmerizing, and then they interact with that person, and then what you get into you eventually will wind up getting poisoned from that toxic person. Now, let me break that down a little bit. So you have a person that's toxic. Their attitude, their nature, their demeanor. Now, toxic doesn't mean that they're not pleasant. Toxic don't mean that they're mean. You have very toxic people that people want to be around, that people want to be in their presence and everything. Toxic is the long-term energy that they give off, an effective nature that they have that coincide. Like I talked before about speaking and energy. You know, a toxic person energy and the things that they do create toxicity in other people, and it poisons them, and in turn that poison person won't necessarily become a toxic person, but for a time they will be. It's like they have to get it out their system until they default back to regular. Let me give you an example of that. And this is male or female, because I was a poison person at one time. I wasn't toxic, but I became poison, and I was actually poisoning other people without knowing. But let me break this down. So you have a person that's, let's call them regular. They just are a regular normal person, and they get with someone that's really, really bad for them, but the person sees potential in them, so they stay with them. And say they get betrayed or get their heart broke or get victimized by the person. That person, and say there's a lot of energy that went into it too. Not just the person doing it, the affirmations, the speaking over the person, the attitude, all that stuff. That person could actually become poisoned by that person. And now, whenever you meet the person that got poisoned, say you don't know them, you just meeting them, you will meet a warped version of that person. A poisoned person is not a natural version of that person because they're poisoned. So they may have their guard up, or they may give you more attitude, or you might like them, but it be something off about them. They might be smart, sarcastic, but at the same time, you can sense something's off because they don't seem like that all the time. They back and forth, wishy-washy. That person, was poisoned. Accountability. Toxic people do not want accountability for their actions at all. Toxic people are quick to say something like, "Don't judge me, only God can judge me." I think that statement is really ridiculous when you're quick to tell a person don't judge you, because every aspect of our life require us to judge. If you want a job and you want a promotion and you're in an interview process and you state and you talk about your accolades and your credentials and stuff like that, you're asking them to judge you for what you want. If you're in a relationship or someone wants to pursue you and they're telling you about themselves and telling you what they do and what they don't do, habits, things that like that, you're not being judgmental of the person, but you have to judge to see if that is criteria for your lifestyle. We all judge. Now, there's a difference between judging and condemning. We all judge. We all make judgment. We all make decisions. A lot of toxic people, they don't want responsibility for their actions unless it's favorable to them. They'll hurt someone's feelings, or they do something just like, well, it is what it is. Or when you're trying to love a toxic person, they say stuff like, well, I know I'm messed up, but you just want to accept me how I am. How do you know that it's something very wrong with you and your requirements is for the person that's trying to love you in spite of yourself, you telling them that the requirement is that I have to accept you how you are? What if how you are is really bad? There's no accountability in toxic people. Now, like in most of these videos, I use myself as an example. So in my life, in most of my situations, I would say I got the bad end of the stick. I really got the bad end of the stick. And, this is personal relationships, just, relationships, helping people, friendships. I really got the bad end of the stick. And for a while, I was really, really poisoned, and I didn't know it. Some people say it's having your guard up or things like that. And by me being in a poisoned state, I can truly say there's about 2 people I let get away that would have probably elevated me and upgraded me to the next level. There's 2 people. Most of the times, I'm the one that's being done wrong. But because I was toxic and because I was poisoned, I couldn't accept the love. I couldn't see what they were doing, and I wasn't accepting nothing, and I was non-trusting. I trusted myself. I trusted my feelings. I trusted what I did. And in turn, I slightly did, I don't know if it was slightly because I really don't know. I did damage to them people that all they was really trying to do is get to know me and love me. I actually poisoned them a little bit, and it took years for me to find out what I was doing. Now, poison people and toxic people kind of do things a little bit different. Toxic people, that's usually the state of their being. From when they're a kid to when they're grown, they're usually the same straight way, the same straight through. It usually take a crisis level event or some real strong spirituality to change a toxic person. Poison people usually don't stay that way permanently, but at the same time, by being poisoned, they can poison other people or create other toxic people by their actions. Now, it's something that I learned that I was doing, and I didn't realize this until I got into church and I started having more person to person conversations with my mother, not mother to son, person to person. And I start, listening with a more of an adult mind. So I remember one day from her, she said, Izar, if the same thing keep happening with different people, even though I think it's a bad thing, it can't always 100% be them, and I had to listen to that. And then my bishop, he added just a little bit more flavor into it. He said, right or wrong, you are responsible for a person's perception of you. It's part of your responsibility. It's part of your responsibility as far as the perception you put out. So if someone is dead wrong about you, sometimes they can be dead wrong, but you have to go back and reevaluate what is it that you're putting out. And I had to really think about that. So let me tell you what I was doing. And I don't know if anybody out there would have the guts to admit that they've done this before. So I had a problem with women. This day and age, how I was raised to believe that a lot of females are, I don't run into them. I don't run across them. It's like they don't really exist. So I've had some bad experiences when it comes to certain aspects of relationships. So what happened? My personality and who I was became altered. So then what happened to me is I met a person that wasn't like the other people. But because I was so poisoned and damaged, my actions, my energy, and my voice of creation, and like I said, I don't talk ignorant to anyone or talk mean or talk down, but you still can do damage with what you say and how you say certain things, even if you're not cussing or anything. What you would wind up doing, since we have the power of creation, like I talked about in my last video, you will create what you hate just to say you're just like everyone else. So pretty much the person was neutral. They wasn't like what you was used to. They wasn't like what you had before. There was a breath of fresh air. But in your demented, poisoned mind and ability to creation, because they're trying to love you, so they're not trying to quickly eject themselves from you, and what you get into you poison that person, and now they start acting just like the messed up one. Now the thing is, they wasn't messed up, but because of your actions and you're so used to being done that way, you create that in someone new. And then when they start acting the way you created, now you're validated in your poison and your ignorance, because now you can say, I knew it, that's why I don't F with nobody, you're just like everyone else. No, they wasn't. You created that. And the thing is, unless you have a certain type of mindset and you're taught a certain type of way, most people are oblivious that they're doing it. People run into good people all the time. There's a lot of rotten people out there. There's a rotten scumbums, males and females, trifling is all hell out there. But you do have some good ones out there, and because of our own personal dysfunctions of being poisoned or being toxic, we let things pass us by. And like I say, you have to have a very strong mind. You have to be taught these things. These ain't things that your mother and father normally teach you. These is more deeper concepts. These are things that you have to have a good person, a good spiritual leader, someone who understands the psyche of human thinking and soul and being, to realize the fact that sometimes you're causing your own demise just to justify your own sadness or toxic. Everyone out there isn't bad. Now in this day and age, a lot of people is really losing their stuff. you know. But my challenge to you guys is to look at yourself. Find out, are you the toxic one? Because I know people, there are some people I had to cut off recently that they think that it's something always happening to them. There's always a situation. Someone's always doing this. Someone's always doing this. Someone's always doing that. Nobody this, nobody that. And I don't say nothing. I watch. I'm very good with watching and observing people. And in the aspect of their life, I think that they was the toxic person. Because I watch people, I stayed around for a long time. I recently bailed out for my own sanity, you know. And I watch people come in and out that person's life all the time. And by my standard, it wasn't them. It was they high, what's the word I want to use? What's the word I want to use? Because I don't want to use the wrong terminology. I would say that, you know, high anxiety, non-trusting, very analytical but critical way of thinking when it comes to people is the cause of their demise. And for every good step that they do, it seems like something bad happened. Now, this person isn't a bad person at all, or I wouldn't have stayed around them for so many years. You know, decent person, decent toxic person. And the ones that's decent and toxic is really hard because you really can see the potential in them. You really can see that if they wasn't so toxic or messed up, they have the potential to be excellent. And that's what makes you stay around. But it's certain things, no matter how much we want to do, it's the only thing that the Almighty can handle. It's just way out of our hands. Even think about it. We want to change people. We can't even change ourselves. You really need some spiritual guidance, prayer, someone lay hands, get some prayer beads to really change who you are. Not just change the outside, not just change your representative, but to really change is hard and is not permanent. When you change yourself, that's a constant thing. That's a day-to-day struggle. It never stops. You don't fully, if you're a particular type of way and you change, you don't never fully change. You have to work on that every day. And with toxic people, it's the same thing. Unless they choose to work on themselves, that's just the way they are. Poison people eventually will revert back to their natural state. But the problem is, if they don't have the mindset that they're poisoned, they don't even see all the damage they did. They just think they're walking around with their guard up. They'd have met somebody phenomenal that would have been the greatest thing for them, and they just let them go. You know, they let them go, they passed them up, and they probably did damage to them because all the person was trying to do is get to know them and maybe love them a little bit. And I can speak from experience because, like I say, it's not a lot. In my life, I hate the curse, I got the shitty end of the stick most of the time, for real. But I'll be a damn liar, and that's one thing I'm not a dishonest person. If I can't sell, if there's like one or two people that I'll let get away. And that was just because of what I was going through my pain. I was all poisoned up at that time. No one could tell me nothing. And they were beautiful people. And like I said, if I would allow myself, or even at that particular point in my development as a man, realize my own mindset and the things that I was doing, I probably would be a lot better off now. I probably wouldn't have to go through what I went through. I probably wouldn't have to go through more trashy relationships and scandalous, deceptive people that use your kindness for weakness and take advantage. I probably wouldn't have to go through none of that, because when I look at their lives now, they're still them positive, happy-go-lucky people. And I'm happy for them. That's my loss. But you're supposed to learn from your mistakes and keep learning. So I'm going to end this with that. I want everyone to basically do a self-analysis and, you know, look at yourself, look at your friends, and then to make a determination for yourself. Are they a toxic person? Or are they a poisoned person? Whether if it's someone else or yourself, then what you want to do about it? What you want to do about it? I challenge you to do something about it, whether if it's someone else or yourself. I'm about to go. It's a nice day. I got some music to work on. I got some chicken to fry. And I'm I'm just enjoying myself today. You know, no dialysis, so I don't gotta get stuck by the vampire crew. So I'm actually having a good day. You know, I'll probably start some of my training videos too, because it's getting warm, and I'm about to go back up to the park and start doing my old school beating on the trees. So I'll see y'all around. Peace. I love y'all and God bless. I'll get up with y'all later.